What's up, everybody? So this is a video series where we're going to kind of be going over the things that we learn and beyond the bars and after school when we're in person. We're going to be learning bass with me, Betts, and the object and the goal of what we're doing here is we want to provide a resource for y'all for when y'all at home, so you guys can kind of go over the things that we went over while we're together in class. Now, how we're going to structure it is we're going to start really slow because we want to make sure we cover all of our bases for everybody who might not know exactly what it is that we're talking about. So we'll start at the very, very basics and we'll continue to pick up from there. So for this episode, we're going to focus on, in these next few episodes, we're going to focus on the fundamentals, emphasis on fun. So we're going to build right now, starting from the very basics. And for this episode, I want to talk about the anatomy of the bass guitar. Anatomy means the makeup, the building of it, the physical aspects of whatever we're talking about. Just like human beings, we have an anatomy. We have knees, we have shoulders, we have heads, right? And they all come together to make a human being. The bass guitar has an anatomy as well. And there are different pieces that we need to refer to in order to talk about the buildup of the bass guitar. And you need to know this so that in the future, when I talk about, hey, this is move down the neck, move up the neck, do this, do that, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So these videos are gonna be super basic. It's gonna be straightforward. If you know this stuff already, you can skip past it and go to the next episode. If you want a refresher or if you've never heard this stuff before, definitely watch this all the way through, just so you have an idea of what it is that we're talking about when I'm referring to certain things. It might also help for you to have a notebook nearby and just to write some of these things down. So, if you're ready to go, we can continue. Okay, so, like I said, we're gonna go through the anatomy of the bass. Right here we have our bass guitar. Now, the bass guitar differs from the electric guitar in a couple different ways that are key. You can usually tell a bass guitar apart from an electric guitar by, number one, the size. Bass guitars are typically longer than electric guitars. And for the most part, bass guitars tend to have less strings. And visually, when you're looking from afar, that's two quick and easy ways you can tell the bass guitar from the electric guitar. Bass guitar will have typically 4 or 5 strings, when an electric guitar will have 6. Now, there are always exceptions to the rule. There are bass guitars with 6 strings, you know. There are electric guitars with 12 strings. But for what we need to talk about here today, bass guitars will have less strings. And I'm going to be doing these lessons on a 4-string bass guitar because more than likely you guys will have a 4-string bass guitar as well to practice at home. So, moving on, I'm going to go through all the different pieces that make the bass guitar what it is. And I'm going to start here with the body. This white piece of wood right here is called the body. Here's the front of it. This is the back of it. Now, there are a lot of different pieces on the body that we're going to go over too shortly, but I just wanted to generally just go over what this is. An important part of the body is right here. This is the input jack right here. The input jack is for connecting our cord for going out to the amp. This is how you get sound to go from the bass out to the amp. So that's the input jack right here. Attached to the body is our neck. That's this piece of wood right here that's coming from the body all the way up. That's the front of it. This is the back of it. Okay? This is the neck. And just like with human beings, attached to the neck is the head. So this is the head of the bass right here. Now, attached to the head are these 4 things right here. You'll see these are our tuning keys. They're gonna tighten and loosen our strings, which is the last part. We're gonna go over this section, our strings. So I'm gonna go over it again really quickly. We've got our body, we've got our neck, we've got our head, we've got our tuning keys, and then we've got our strings. Okay, so now, as I said, this is the body. And you'll notice on the body, there are a bunch of different little things coming out of here. And I kind of want to go over a couple of them, okay? So we're going to start with our pickups. Our pickups lie behind the strings, okay? So you can see mine are black right here, and I've got 2 of them. Sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 2, you know, sometimes there could be more. Every bass is different. But generally what you should know is that the pickups are called pickups because what they do is they pick up the sound that you're creating with the strings and translate them into an electrical signal through this apparatus right here that goes into the input jack, which goes through your cord and out to the amp. So everything is kind of named exactly how it should be. The pickups pick up the sound, they go out to the output, which you have your input cord, and it's amplified by the amp. So that's what the pickups do, and this is where they are. Now the pickups are controlled by these knobs right here, okay? So we've got I've got three of them on my bass. You might have one, you might have two, you might have five. Every bass is different. But what you should know about these knobs is that these knobs control what the pickups are doing, okay? So right now I've got three knobs. Usually this first knob on basses control the general volume. Loud, quiet, loud, quiet. And that's just kind of a general rule for this knob. I've seen basses that is different, but this is just what this knob generally does. Now these two knobs, we're not gonna go into too much depth about what they do, but what you should know for right now is that they control what we like to call tone. Now the tone just is a very, very, very specific quality of the sound that your bass is creating. So I'll dive into this more in a future lesson, but for right now, all you need to know is that this is the volume and these two control tone. Now with that said, we're gonna travel to the neck. Now the neck is made up of two pieces of wood, as you can see. There's the back of the neck and there's the front. And on the front of the neck is something called the fretboard. The fretboard is this darker brown piece of wood right here on the front. So I'm gonna turn this way so you can see. You see the back right here, and then you see right here is the front. That's the fretboard. Now, the fretboard is aptly named because it hosts what we call the frets, which are these little metal bumps that are kind of sticking out here. So you can kind of see them across here. Now, the frets are important because they separate the notes. Okay, they let us know when one note begins and one note ends, and we kind of move through. Now you might have at home a bass that has no frets. Those are called fretless basses. They're designed that way because the sound is different. So for different styles of music, you might want a fretless bass. But for the most part, a very like normal bass that's typically like you'll see and probably that you'll be playing with will have frets on it, separating the notes right there. So for this next part, we're gonna talk about the string names and we're gonna talk about general direction. So if we have our 4-string bass here, each of these strings have a name associated to it when we play them open. Open means I'm not touching anything on the neck, I'm just letting the string play its natural sound, open. So now I'm gonna teach you the string names, the note that's associated with each specific string in standard tuning. There are other tunings that you can do that other people play with, musicians play with. We're not gonna get into any of that right now. We're just gonna stick to standard tuning. That's what we're used to. So there are 4 strings, and like I said, each of these strings have a name. So now our very lowest string right here, which is towards the bottom of the bass, is our thinnest string. And I'm gonna move a little closer. It's our thinnest string on the bottom right here, and it's called the G string. That's G. The note that this string will play in standard tuning is G. As we move up the bass, the next string up, which is the second string, is the D string. This is the D string. That's the note that this string will play open in standard tuning. The next string up is A. That is the A string. A string. So if I'm not touching anything on the neck, if I'm just letting the string play by itself, it's gonna play the note A. It should play the note A. We're gonna tune it to play the note A. And now this last string, the thickest, right here towards the top of the bass, this is the E string. Okay, so we've got G, D, A, E. So now, if I'm sitting with the bass on my lap, as we do, there's also directions that we want to talk about. There's up and down, and there's higher and lower. So if I'm saying move up a string, that means wherever you are, you're gonna move towards the ceiling, okay? So if I'm on the D string and I say move up a string, we're gonna go up to the A string. If I'm on the A string and I say move up a string, we're gonna go up to the E string. On the other hand, if I'm on the A string and I say go down a string, that means we're gonna go down to the D string. If I'm on the D string and I say go down a string, that means we're gonna go down to the G string. Now, if we're on a note and we're playing a note, see how I have my hand set up right here, playing a note on the fretboard, and I say go higher, what I'm talking about is move in the direction where the notes get higher. And the notes get higher as you get closer to the body. So again, the notes will get higher in pitch as you get closer to the body. Okay? You can practice at home, you can see it. If you move your hand from here to here and play, you'll hear the notes get higher in pitch. So when I say go higher, I mean move from here to here to here and just get closer to the body. On the other hand, if I say get lower, that means move away from the body towards the head of the bass. Move away from the body towards the head of the bass. That's where the notes get lower. So this way is higher and this way is lower.